Welcome to another installment of the APB Recap. Yes, I'm bald. I went bald just because I never actually see myself bald, and I'm just curious. I'll wear my hat back just in case so that you guys don't go into any further shocks. Before we talk about the hooplas, let's talk about a really important topic that I think you guys should really be concerned about, which was a hoopla that I also discussed last week in the Q&A of the last stream. Your passwords. I was a victim of a hacker once, and I feel like I need to make sure that you guys are not victims of hackers too, especially not by one's own stupidity, which was what happened to me a while back. Before you skip, this isn't a sponsor spot, that is one for later. This one is more of a cautionary tale. LastPass, a password manager app, recently got hacked. To make a long story short, employees got compromised, the hackers break through LastPass and managed to get all sorts of customers' information, ranging from billing addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, IP addresses, etc. Those informations are already pretty concerning. But what about the passwords themselves? Well, they did get the password, yes, but only the encrypted version. They have to decrypt the passwords first, and decrypting the passwords is gonna be pretty tough. They have to keep on trying new passwords over and over until they get it right. This is known as brute forcing, which is just trial and error. It's practically the hacker bashing themselves against the door so that they can open it. Brute forcing an encrypted password is going to take a long time, especially when the password is long and consists of a mix of letters, uppercases, lowercases, numbers, and symbols. That's why your passwords shouldn't be the common words in the dictionary, because the hackers can easily break through that by going through the dictionary database. But what isn't hard to brute force is the master password, which is the one password that users use to access all of the passwords. If the hackers know the master password, they can get into all sorts of passwords much easier. They can just do some good old social engineering and impersonate LastPass to trick people into giving out their master password. Hello, ma'am, this is LastPass. Your password has been leaked, so give us your passwords, please. They can also find out the master password by figuring out where the users got hacked previously and see if the passwords are there. That's called credential surfing. If you go to a website called Have I Been Pawned and type in your email there, you will see where your emails have been compromised. My old email got compromised in lots of websites several times. That's why I have all sorts of different emails for different purposes, and I think you guys should too. This is just a reminder to all of you guys to never ever be dumb with your password. Make sure that your password is uncrackable through brute force methods. There are many password testing websites out there that allow you to test how strong your passwords are. If your password isn't strong enough, then you really should consider changing them. If you want to use a password manager, use one that is safe locally, where the only person who can access it is you and you alone. Maybe have it on some good old pen and paper. Sometimes old school methods absolutely destroy technology. And that is it for the first hoopla of today. But before we move on to the next one, this video is sponsored by the most trusted sponsors of all time, and that is you guys. You guys are the ones making this video happen. You guys are the ones making me survive throughout the day. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to see your names among these awesome people, then check out the links down below. Just $1 and you'll see your names among these amazing and awesome people. Seriously, thank you so much. You guys are fantastic. I have already established that I am not a fan of Sony at all. And the birds seems to agree with me, as they dump their doo-doos up the Sony HQ building because they're nesting at the S sign. And because the sign was so high up above, no one bothered to try to clean them up, I guess. So bask on the view of the Sony HQ being crapped out by the birds. Maybe the birds are the console fanboys that hate the fact that they're releasing their exclusives to the PC, which makes the PS5 more and more useless as time goes on. Can't wait for Returnal. We deal with a lot of first world issues in our streams, but even for our streams, this is way too first world to me. Dear fellow Café goers, please don't ask to watch your laptop. Yes, apparently watching someone else's laptop for just a moment is an issue so huge that a journalist had to write about it. Though me personally, I wouldn't hang out in cafes showing my expensive electronic devices. Actually, hold on a second, let me correct that. Me personally, I wouldn't hang out in cafes, period. But even if I hang out in cafes, my phone is enough and I can carry them everywhere. Now, the title itself is already pretty stupid, but take it up to our journalist for today for making an already petty issue even more petty. What if they have an invisible illness or disability that prevents them from stepping in? You can just, I don't know, politely decline and explain the situation. It's not that hard, guys. So remember last week when I talked about how parents are suing Epic Games because they're not responsible enough for watching their children's spendings on Fortnite? Well, it turns out that I was wrong. Maybe the parents are onto something, especially when the FTC steps in and straight up claims 520 million fine towards Epic Games. Even you, yes, you can redeem your lost Fortnite spendings in the lawsuit. Not sure when they're gonna open them, but you can definitely redeem your losses. So hooray for all the parents of the baby whales that populate the Fortnite fandom. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Fortnite's economy, and to be fair, so is anyone above the age of 10, so that unfamiliarity results in me blindly saying that parents should really understand Fortnite's economy and, monitor their children's spendings, or their spendings in general. I am still right in that regard. But while personal responsibility should always be exercised at all times, that still doesn't dismiss the fact that Epic Games is a scummy company and you probably shouldn't spend your time and your money to any of their games. True crime is a really popular genre in the internet these days. I myself can totally understand the appeal. But that's only if it's focused on the true crime itself rather than anything else that's completely irrelevant. When listening to a true crime podcast, which race do you prefer the murder victims to be? Excuse me, how is that relevant to crime in general? The only time where it's relevant is when the crime in question is racially motivated, but those types of crimes are not as much as the crimes motivated by, insert any reason here. This whole question is just absurd. I mean, I enjoy true crime because of the crime and the fact that it's true. It's really that simple. I've heard certain popular podcasts are no longer covering stories with white victims, so wondering if this is due to audience preference. So, because you heard other popular podcasts don't discuss white victims, you posted this ridiculously dumb question.
Wow, really, none of that sounds good.
I don't understand why those with pronouns in the bio who do nothing but demand more POC representation in all forms of entertainment are feigning outrage at this question. Would you prefer if I asked what race you wanted the perpetrator to be? Just want to make sure I get your hashtag woke rules just right. Again, that word is thrown left and right to describe nothing. So your tactic of trolling the woke crowds is to ask a stupid question that only puts you to half the bigger L. Oh, and here's an even bigger L for you, and a pro tip to all of the trolls out there. If you hide your replies, you're no longer trolling. You're now moved past trolling, and now you're basically just coping. That hidden reply section, yeah, it's still pretty freaking long. Don't worry, it's still going. Keep in mind that this account has to manually hide every reply. It's really hard being a dad on the internet, especially when you got trashed by these two idiots. Men who talk too much about being a father online are engaging in women behavior and therefore gay. Yes, apparently if you love your child and you talk about how much you love your child, you're gay.
Why are you gay?
But please, find some discretion and self-respect. You'll never find an Eastern dad gushing about his fifis on the internet. So you're saying dads talking about how much they love their kids is a Western thing and not an Eastern thing. I can confirm to you, lady, that it's really not just Western thing. I'm playing Okuyasu in this one.
They're racist!
Men, don't be emotionally attached to your children! That's an impossible task to do, but okay, let's hear it. A teacher doesn't attach to his students. A teacher and a student relationship is not the same as a dad and their child. A leader doesn't attach to his followers. First, see my previous comment, and second, yes, they do. They do that quite a lot, actually. A man who is emotionally attached to his children will be manipulated by his wife. That is assuming that the wife in question has malicious intentions. I mean, if you don't trust your own wife, maybe a couple counseling is a better course of action for you. Or alternatively,
Nothing says true love like a divorce fund.
Twitter being held by Elon Musk has been a roller coaster. It's just one baffling decision after another. It's never consistently good and also never consistently bad. It's an utter chaos, and I love every second of it. This is probably among one of the most baffling decisions that he made. Twitter announced that you are not allowed to post links to any other sites. That's right, you are not allowed to post links to any other social media on Twitter. You can do this in any other social media that links to Twitter, but not Twitter to those social media for some reason. Or at least that's what they initially announced to do. That is, until the backlash comes in and they completely backtrack on that decision. I have no idea why Twitter thinks that this is a good idea. I think this is meant to curb competitors, but you're a social media platform. You're supposed to give voices to people. When people's overall voice towards the whole Twitter discourse is, your social media sucks, here are some better ones, maybe you shouldn't censor them. Otherwise, you might be, proving them right. This hoopla also happened this week, for the record. So apparently, the boomers are absolutely baffled that the adults of today like toys. I know. Shocking, right? Adults are buying toys for themselves, and it's the biggest source of growth for the industry. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because toys are genuinely fun things to play with. They even have a term for it. It's called kidults. They're just adults. Boomer legacy media. Just because you think that the adults these days playing with their toys is childish doesn't make that term good to use. Or for that matter, not childish. This cahoots of kidults, which NPD defines as age 12 and older. Wait.
Hold on. No.
12 and older? What makes you think that 12-year-olds can be defined as adults? Hello?
No, wait! You have to go to school!
Here's one absolutely baffling take. One Twitter user asked, "What is your unpopular fantasy opinion?" Another user replied a past tweet saying, "Fantasy racism is so funny because authors and writers make that choice to include racism in a world where racism literally doesn't have to exist." Yes, they also have the choice to include a world where dragons that can massacre towns and turn every person into ashes to not exist. They also have that choice, but apparently, if they include them by your logic, that makes them mass murderers, I guess. Before any of you coconut heads come in to say, "So you don't want conflicts in your stories?" Racism is not conflict, it's racism. Hope that helps. No, it doesn't help at all. In fact, it just absolutely wrecks your point. Why are you saying racism isn't conflict? Are you suggesting that people discriminating against you based on your race is perfectly okay? I mean, you said racism is in conflict. If racism is in conflict, what's the opposite of conflict? It's peace. So racism is peace.
Well, he's not racist.
I guess not.
But putting aside that really stupid and obviously butchered statement, what you're suggesting here is that the ideas that the writer suggests in fiction also reflect their beliefs in real life, which is why I made that genocidal dragon point. Just because writers write X in fiction doesn't mean that they endorse X in real life. I mean, X can be literally anything, like war crimes or insert any sorts of criminal behaviors here. But it doesn't make the author war criminals, or criminals in general. Fantasy racism can exist in media if done correctly. That's your subjective philosophical point of view. Oftentimes it's not, and comes off as disrespectful to multiple group of people. Those multiple group of people should learn the difference between fiction and reality. Like those people that complain about the new Avatar movie, which for the record, I did promise that I want to see it last week, but I didn't end up watching it because there are much better things to do. Also, there are a lot of other conflicts for characters to go through outside of discrimination. That doesn't really prove your initial claim that racism is in conflict. In fact, it reinforces the claim because now you're implying that racism is conflict, it's just not a good one. That's your subjective philosophical point of view. Just because you think that it's not good doesn't mean other people think that it's not good. So a new costume for Aunt Takamaki from Persona 5 where she wears a corset got a lot of outrage from people because, well, let's read. Love Atlas for making An's entire arc about how uncomfortable she is to be sexualized by perverts while constantly going out of their way to sexualize her in art, merch, and cameos. Yes, she is so uncomfortable to be sexualized by perverts that her passion is to become a supermodel.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
An's entire character arc is not about her being uncomfortable getting sexualized. It's about her being in control of her own sexuality. She likes being sexy and appearing sexy. Yes, she wasn't initially, but let's be real here. She loves being the dominatrix. To this day, I am so angry at Persona 5 dancing. Why is last surprise music video like that? I get the theme, but I cannot look at the girls like that without being weird. I cannot believe that we still live in current year where people are insecure about their hobbies because it looks weird. How about you own up to the fact that your hobbies are weird, your tastes are weird, and you tell those people that say that you're weird to go screw themselves? For God's sake, adults are buying toys that are meant for children for themselves. If you think you're weird, welcome to the freaking party. And that's all for the recap today. Once again, this recap wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for all of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see your names among the awesome people at the sponsor spot a while back, then please check out the links down below where you can donate to me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my stream channel, APB Show channel, link down below. And I'll see you all in the next one.